I may label this as like a quick update or so, but no, I'm getting real pissed and bewildered. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Um, the last 4 nights I've spent putting together about 8 videos. Each and every one of them got blocked. I'm not talking about big artists. I'm talking about, who's one of them that I did. Um, Damn, I can't even think of their name. But they were an old school band. They freaking blocked it. I'm like, what the heck? So the only conclusions that I have is one, somebody's doing that, which I doubt anybody would do that to me. Nobody knows me on here, and I'm in no threat of gaining so many followers that would want somebody to, I guess, what is it called, dox you. I mean, I just can't see anybody complaining about that because I do enough pauses, I do enough speaking in between clips when I need to. Um, I just don't know what the hell is going on. And just as I decide to get on here, here's a fucking car out there with its goddamn horns blowing, and somebody's trying to break in. We live in the quiet suburbs, you son of a bitch. Go take care of your car. I'm sorry, man, if you guys could hear that. No, but I'm just frustrated and pissed. So, I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna do a vlog, and then I'm going to um do a song. So I'll be back. Okay. So I'm not one for shining light on terrible shit that had happened. I don't follow tabloids, and I've said that way, way, way in the beginning of my YouTube career, I guess you could say. Starting my YouTube channel. I don't care about celebrities' personal lives or what they did or didn't do. Um, the only times I have an opinion is when something like, Will Smith going up on stage and slapping a guy who's like 2 times, 3 times smaller than him. You know, 1 minute shows his ass laughing, the next minute just because his wife gives a dirty look. Why he's like her bitch and he's supposed to go and attack her or attack him. I mean, I used to love Will Smith. I thought he brought that wholesome, vibe and that type of guy we needed in the industry. I mean, we already had Denzel Washington, Lawrence Fishburne, Danny Glover, and they were all and still have been Morgan Freeman. Did I say Samuel L. Jackson? I may have already. But here you have, you know, African American actors who were all up in arms, and if not the actors, it was at least the Academy up in arms about the fact that, oh, they need to show more diversity. This is just the white Oscars, and they show more, diversity. And what does Will Smith go and do? Goes and fucks it up for future nominations, uh, all because his wife looked at him like attack. God, I wouldn't even know what to think. I mean, I know what it feels like, but then I don't. So I married my ex off a whim. It wasn't because I was so in love with her, like she was the only woman. I needed her so badly. No, it was an ultimatum, like either you propose to me on this day or I'm leaving. Oh, I just got so used to somebody being around. My the reason why it happened, and I'm gonna be a little blunt here, was my grandma had just died, and my mom had asked me to move back in with her, um, and help her take care of my grandmother. And I'm not downing anyone who, you know, doesn't have that ability to take care of their elders. But I know with a lot of Hispanic families and a lot of African American families, um, indigenous people, and their families, they always take care of their elders, and no difference with us. I mean, grandma used to take care of all the kids, while, her children are off at work, and so it was just kind of an even trade. But since she had dementia, she really didn't know what was going on and really felt at first that we were abducting her. And there were cute moments that I could smile with, and there's others that just brought tears to my cheek. And I'll say one of them because I don't think I'll cry, on this one anymore. But I did for the longest time, and I would cry a hurtful cry. That, that type of cry. Um, I've told you guys, I went on my diet, started losing weight, was all happy in myself, and then I'd go and work out. And I'd work out, twice a day, um, about 4 to 5 hours per workout. Start off in the morning with cardio, and in the morning, usually the guys around the offices around the 24-hour fitness, they're not a sponsor of this, so I just had to mention who it was. They would go meet up at the gym, at the basketball courts there, and we would all play. And man, I was getting extremely good. I mean, just busting threes left and right. I mean, at the time, the Denver Nuggets sucked, so they're like, damn, you should go try out. But I'm not fast enough for that. So I come home one day after my workout, and in Spanish, she says, Hito, I made you something to eat. And Hito's just like another word for like my grandson or my son, depending on the context you're using it. And so I'm like, oh, thank you, Grandma. What'd you make? Oh, I made you some fried potatoes. So I go and look, and she had used Dawn as oil. And that, like, just crushed me. I I didn't know much about dementia back then, but that sure as hell opened my eyes to it, because, here's a woman that neighborhood friends used to come over. I'm talking about, 6, 7 year olds when we lived at her place for a little bit while my mom was getting back on her feet before she got the job at IBM. We were living with her for a little bit, and kids would come over and say, like, God, every time I'm around your grandma, it feels like I'm around a saint. And these are, 5, 6, 7 year old kids saying this. Now, they were Catholic, and we weren't. We were non denominational. Well, at the time, we were Baptist Christian. And then we kind of switched it over to non denominational. And, uh, the Catholics, which is fine. I don't put down people for their beliefs, but they do a lot of prayers, and have the rosary to Mary and to the apostles, like Peter, when Jesus told him, you are going to be the rock to this foundation, and meaning the Vatican. That's what a lot of people interpreted to say, but who knows? But anyways, that tore me down. I mean, I could not stop crying, and good thing that it wasn't in her mind that I would be crying, and I, just threw everything away. I washed it up, and I told her it was good, because she would have forgot about it in about 3 seconds anyways. So the moving back in with my mom was the fact that I would carry her. If she needed to go use the restroom, I'd, go carry her to the restroom. And of course, my mom or my aunt would come over, and they would be there to clean her up and do all that stuff, because, Alzheimer's or dementia or not, you still have some dignity. And, that was her concern. And I said, I'm not going to look, because, my mom, your daughter or, one of your daughters are going to walk in, even though it was my, my aunt-in-law. It was her daughter-in-law. And So I would tell her that, and yeah, they would clean her up and do all that stuff, and then I would just carry her back to, her little spot on the couch, or carry her to her bed, because every time she got up, she fell and she broke something, and um, it was just, I realized life went by too quickly to savor moments, and that's what happened on 420 of 1999. Um, we technically had gotten out of school early that year. I was ahead in my credits, and so was my best friend. He kind of had to be because his dad was on his ass like fried chicken, like yeah. But I want to kind of give you a glimpse of where we were and where Columbine's at, high school. So, oh shit, don't do anything. So you have Columbine High School right here. This is Bowles Avenue. You have a golf course it's right here, Raccoon Golf Course. And at the time, we were about right there. Now it's a Whole Foods. But no, wait. That's not it. No, that's it. That's right. Yep. Or like right there. And now it's a Whole Foods, but what it used to be before was a Circuit City. So any of you who were born around my age group will remember Circuit City. It used to be the competitor to Best Buy. Well, my best friend at the time, the one with a cop for a father, I'd always go over and hang out with him. Even at work, they would teach me how to wire up harnesses, for car stereos and stuff. And it was actually quite fun because I learned a lot. And then for, a very small fee, this guy Mike that also worked there, him and my best friend, they built me the ultimate bass car. I was into that back in the day. Like, nobody was going to beat me in a bass. A bass standoff on the corner, or, like when we pull up to a light. So I had two dedicated MTX Thunder 5000, and that's two 15 inches. Magnets freaking huge. This guy Mike builds this box that is custom built for the back of the Eclipse because it has such a weird down, like it's almost like, the best way I could describe it is like how my Camaro was. My Camaro was T-tops, and for any of you who's ever had T-tops, you have the little slits that they fit in, and then you can lock them in place so they don't, move around. Well, that's how this was kind of built, but he built it so specifically to the back that it just fit perfect. And at the time, I used to smoke cigarettes when this was, my football career was done and everything. And I remember one day, we're sitting here at this spot, which, like I said, is now a Whole Foods, but back then it was Circuit City. And under like this part right here was like these big railroad ties that just were like the ceiling. So, they blocked the light and everything. And then we had a clear view to Wadsworth, which, Hosbert. Jesus Christ. Wadsworth is highlighted in yellow here. And so we're sitting out here, we're smoking. I can't believe how much they did to my car. I mean, they put two dedicated amps in there. They put, four dedicated fuse boxes per amp, so it wouldn't blow out anything. These things were gold tipped. I mean, I spared no expense because it was off the money that I received after I filed a lawsuit. And so once that had happened, I told my mom, hey, this is what I really want to get, the kind of car I wanted, and then, I want to do this to it. So, of course, she's like, of course, it's your money. Just, try to save some, which I've always done, and always, have seen the interest grow and grow. And I probably doubt I'll need it for college funds because I know my daughter's going to get into college on a scholarship. I just know it. But, anyways, you're talking about maybe from there to there, about maybe 5 miles. Now, this whole area right here, this way, well, we might want to leave Littleton out, but say from here on, this is all Jefferson County. Now, by mass or square acres, Jefferson County is bigger than Colorado. They claim the mountains, they claim the areas around the mountains, the foothills. And it's even a little bit weird now because if I were to make a 911 call here, it would go to Denver. But if I were to cross the street and made a 911 call, it would go to Lakewood. So it's real weird living right on that edge. But when of course, there's no internet back then. Of course, our cell phones didn't give us the information that we needed like we do get now. And all of a sudden, as we're sitting out here smoking, listening to the bass of the car, it was slow that day for them at Circuit City. I mean, we just seen car after car after car, all marked Jefferson County, just rushing this way. And we're like, damn, there must have been a big ass accident or something, man. And then we still hear about 20 more cars because they're all coming from this direction right in front of Circuit City. And I mean, we're starting to see Jefferson County SWAT, more Jefferson County armored carrying vehicles or armored personnel carriers. And those, I mean, are hauling ass to here. Columbine. Now, from the first shot that rang out until anyone got there, took a long time. And I know Jefferson County may recant that, but this is the proof in the pudding. Was that after 20, 30 minutes or so, we start seeing Denver cops rolling through, and we're like, "The hell's going on, man?" Denver. Denver doesn't get mixed up in shit like this. It's not their county. They have no jurisdiction over here. And then we seen about 70 more Denver vehicles. In Jefferson County, you have what's called West Metro for their ambulance. In Denver, it's very vivid colors, almost off the Denver Broncos. It's orange and white. I think some of the letters are in blue, but I don't think that was intentional. I just think that's how they did it. And we start seeing all these Denver ambulances show up. And so my friend, all freaked out and worried, knowing that his dad only had a few more days left of, being a detective before he moved into IR, which is Internal Affairs, calls him. His dad tells him, "I'm busy. I'll call you back and I'll let you know everything." So we're just sitting here, and my friend at that time, my best friend at that time, had a heart condition, and they even to this day, when he was 25 years old, he has this thing that sticks out in his chest, almost like somebody would for if they got a bad hernia. Well, he has one sticking out over here on his heart, for when his heart dips too low, he faints. And, I thought he was going to have a fainting attack, being all worried about his pops because that's who he lived with. That's who he got along with. That's, his pops is the one that, really was the parent to him. And, he came from money because his mom owned. Uh, I mean, it's funny that you would think that somebody would make money on this, but she owned several dog grooming stores. I'm still gonna think it's a front. I think she was like a Walter White in disguise, to tell you the truth. But nonetheless, she owned like 4 or 5 of these dog grooming stores, and her house was both their houses, man. The moms and the dads. I mean, they came from money, and you could see, and that's why he was at Lutheran. His family, spared no expense there. So when you watch the video of what just recently happened, um, with the school kids, if it's true that that chief actually gave an order to stand down for as long as he did, his ass needs to be put on trial. Um, there were so many officers that were willing to risk their own lives to get in there, and going against orders. There goes their livelihood. There goes them having the opportunity of ever getting a job again with any police agency. And I mean, what could they do but listen to this guy's orders? The same thing ensued at Columbine. So, here's the front entrance. The first victim, she had came in from over here, and she had dropped off her brother here. Her brother came up the stairs and was, already inside, and she had parked the car and she was coming over here, walking towards the door, and one of those two, I have a lot of yeah, I could probably get kicked off for saying what they are, but one of those two demented fucks called her name. She turned around and she was very pleasant. She said, "Hi, and what's up?" And they shot her, and she was the first fatality. And as they went in, the kid, the brother kind of noticed, and they knew they were siblings, and he survived, but he remembers them saying, like, "Oh, there's her brother, he might as well." And they shot him, but what had happened was it hit the lower right side of his backpack, and instead of going through the backpack, which is weird that it didn't, it spun the backpack around, and the bullet spun with it, and it hit him in his spine, and he immediately lost all control of his legs. And they thought he was dead because he just laid there, playing dead. That's the only reason why many of these, mass shooters, don't go back and double tap. And the cool thing about, if there's anything to gain from this, it's perseverity. Because the young man, he said, you know what? His sister would have wanted him to try, and try he did. And the dude walks to this day, which is so awesome. The only effects that he has is PTSD, because he could hear all the hell ensuing. And so then you start getting calls from, mind you, this is 1999. So not a lot of people had cell phones yet. And most of the people that were calling were, the teachers telling the students to get down. The only thing that they didn't do was bar the doors. And, that had always drove me nuts. Like, why didn't they bar the doors? Especially to the library where there were so many kids. And those two animals entered the freaking library. Now, mind you, Lakewood cops are already there. They pretty much have the whole perimeter surrounded. All their SWATs are standing behind, the armored vehicles. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's giving orders. So that's why Denver stepped in, because Denver kind of gave them time to see, how are they going to respond to this? Not that they're under Denver, but to see, are they really going to step up in a time like this? And so they were waiting as long as possible. I could have sworn, I may be wrong, it was probably around the same amount of time as the recent school shooting of the children, about 70 minutes or so. And so I remember my best friend's dad just saying it with, one of his like partners and a few others, like, fuck it, we're gonna go in if you guys aren't gonna do shit. And by this time, it had been like 10 minutes since they had heard any gunshots. So, he proceeds to enter, and they're clearing out the first parts of the building. They clear out the first floor. They clear out the subfloors. And they get upstairs to the library. And that's where they find those two fucking cowards, had shot themselves. And I remember it was funny because when I first met my best friend, former best friend, his dad didn't like me at all. And I never understood why. But it came down to the fact that I was Hispanic. And maybe he had dealt with more Hispanics on the wrong side of the law than on the good side. But, I remember one time getting a chance to speak with him. And I said, one of my goals is to become an FBI agent. And from that point on, the guy just absolutely loved me. Every Sunday they would throw in during the summer months, they would have a barbecue, and he always asked me to come. Always, like I had to be there. And not only that, I had to bring some of my mom's green chili because I have yet to lose any corporate chili cook-off with her. So, yep, I'm like 20-0, somewhere around there. She makes some of the best green chili, and for my friends who have had it, they could tell you. They could tell you. But I couldn't go out for the FBI because my biological father had felonies. And I'm like, oh my God. You could become a cop, but that's the furthest you're going to get. And I thought, this is fucking horse shit. Like, I wasn't even around my father. Like, he only came to pick me up maybe once or twice, and, every month. And when he did, he would just drop me off at my aunt's house to hang out with my little cousin, who was roughly my same age. And so I had a better time doing that than actually spending time with him. But I still kind of covered up his stupid little lies because I could hear what he would be telling my mom when she's like, what did you guys do? This and that. And she's like, well, now tell me the truth now that he's gone. And yeah, I was a little snitch back then. I was like, no, he just left me with my cousin and this and that. Because he needed, in my mind, to learn how to be a real dad. And even though he atoned himself before he died, yeah, I think that did him a lot of good to clear his conscience. And I just remember that day him telling us, like, all the years that you do detective work, you see some of the most ghastly things that you could imagine. I'm sure you heard of that woman who claims she had a psychotic breakdown and put her child inside a microwave. Heinous crimes. It's just unbelievable. So, when he told us about this, he said he went throughout the school and he had to try to remove and desensitize himself because these young kids that he's looking at are the same age as his son. And he said it was one of the hardest things that he had to go through. And he was a happy man that he got to go to internal affairs. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, um, our experience with the school shooting. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to try to get some music uploaded here. I've been trying for the last few days like hell. So wish me luck, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. So I will be back soon with music.